Today is February 23rd. Today is a very interesting day. Boeing came out and said that they have some issues with documentation. Documentation issue on their 787 Dreamliner. Apparently, that airplane is supposed to be a growth vehicle. Today, I held essentially 4 stocks heavily. And the stock essentially did this, boop, just like that. But while I was going down, I got in here and I was riding it all the way down here. And I thought to myself, oh, well, here's how I will essentially just go to zero, I thought today, and then recovered. I didn't realize it was Thursday. And I intensely looked at it all the way through, tick by tick, throughout the day, and my emotional capital was essentially expended. At the end of the day, I was actually green, but I did not sell all. And towards the end of the day, it tapered off, and so I held on Amazon and Boeing. Little events will occur on a Friday opening, and the futures are slightly red. And I anticipate that Amazon will drop, causing me to lose some funds. Boeing, on the other hand, issued a documentation issue whereupon the FAA issued that statement. And that happens often. Apparently, there's some regulations that needs to be followed in order to essentially manufacture or in order to sell these airplanes. So I have seen that before, but not to a degree that I will experience tomorrow morning. What I anticipate, I really don't want to anticipate, but what I foresee begrudgingly is that Boeing will essentially, in after hours, it dropped approximately $5.50. And so I have a substantial size of options, and essentially what that will do is cause my account to essentially deplete. Now, hopefully the volatility will allow me to save some portion of the capital that I've placed. Now, why did I not sell those two? It has something to do, it seems to me, with part of being very tired. What I essentially did was I saw my account drop virtually down to nil, and then recover to the starting point, and then just slightly above. And I've incurred this approximately the trading days from, what is that? Approximately 6 hours. So there's essentially approximately 6 hours of trading, and my emotional capital was expended all that time, and I was essentially just tired. What I should have done is, knowing that every time that I held overnight, essentially I've incurred a heavy loss, and I've seen this before on numerous occasions, and tomorrow will be no different, because I've already seen it. I've already seen Boeing after hours that has declined substantially with legitimate news, and there is no way within this Friday that stock will change its trajectory, and it could essentially be far more down tomorrow because of that issue, documentation issue. And I've experienced this numerous times, but I just forgot, and I just held it, thinking, well, it really didn't make any sense either because it was not essentially going up. It actually dipped and then recovered to the former itself to the point where it started. And so essentially, if I were to draw a graph on it, so essentially it was slightly green for Boeing, and for AMD, for Amazon, it was essentially, it actually is, it opened higher but closed a little bit lower, but it is up a little bit. So there was no indication for me to be holding on to the stock on a Friday. So, um, and I can already see that on the previous day for Amazon, because there's only 4 days per week, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and Friday essentially for every candle here, Friday, 2, 3, 4, 5. Friday, that was one exception when there was earnings on a Friday, I think. So that would be 2-2, I think. So if I look at the calendar, 2-2, that was Thursday. So Friday, it suffered a decline here. So on every Friday, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. On every Friday, it declined. So what I anticipate is essentially I should not have done that, but I did it anyway. But based on the experience that I have, it just happens. It just happens. I did it. It just happens. Even though I've seen it before, my mind gets sidetracked, and it essentially becomes detached from what I need to think in order to process that trading. And so one day, I will make it. But for now, uh, Boeing issued a documentation issue um, through the FAA, and therefore I will suffer a severe loss tomorrow for holding overnight, which I knew that I should not do, but I held anyway. I don't know why. It just made no sense to me. Um, Now doesn't make any sense, but while I was trading, it made perfect sense. It's like I suppose it's like um, a dream world where everything just makes sense. And then once the reality hits, then I can distinguish between what really makes sense and not make sense. And after the fact, it just did not make any sense at all. So that's the way it is. Okay, so I gotta start rebuilding. So we'll get there. Um, so I just came back from washing dishes, and I had some Cheerios because I heard it's good for the heart. Lowers cholesterol. I can feel it in me when I have issues with cholesterol. So I was working and I was concerned. I have this restitution that I have to pay, and it's an incredibly big amount. And washing dishes, essentially most of what I have just goes into everyday expenses. And so what is left over is virtually nil. So if I have an issue with my car, or this glass, this pair of glasses is um, it must be, yeah, it must be, I'd say, I'm not sure how long I had these. I had these for a very long time. Maybe 6 years, 6 to 8 years. I think maybe 6 to 8 years I had these glasses. So, and I need to replace them. Now, I'm just treading water right now, and I was very concerned. As a dishwasher, what I do is I mop the floor. And mopping the floor requires certain procedure. One of the procedure is to drench it with soapy water so that it loosens up the dirt. When I dry, after that, when I take the mop, a dry mop, and then soak up the water, then the dirt along with the water gets picked up. But if I take a wet mop and slosh it around, what it will do is the water will disperse. And then when it dries, the dirt still remains. And so that is how, um, uh, in many cases, when it's busy, that's the best way to take care of it and to go home. So what I prefer to do is drench it, and then I would soak up as much water as possible so that the dirt gets picked up. So that the next day when I mop, then whatever is left over gets picked up again and picked up again. It gets less and less amount of dirt, along with the dirt that was placed there. So, where am I going with this? So I was concerned. I was concerned that um, you know the interest alone on the amount will be far more than what I will be paying. The ability for me to pay is going to be far less than what the interest that is being accumulated. So I thought to myself, my God, how am I gonna do this? How am I going to take care of this? I thought while I was mopping. And then God just said to me, you can do it. You can do it, he said. You can do it. And so I was concerned because I made this very, um, it just didn't make any sense. It actually made no sense for me to hold overnight when I had no reason for me to take on this type of a risk in order to make money because I was able to make money during the day. So there was no need for me to hold anything overnight, but I just did it anyway because I don't know why I did that. So I was concerned and I was mopping and I thought, oh, how am I going to do this? And God said, you can do it. So while I was still there, uh, taking care of the closing procedures for the area that I was working in, I started to mention to one of the colleagues there, I said, you know what God just told me? And I told them, blurted it out in a very loud and very strong manner. I said, you can do it. You can do it. That's what I told him. And then I proceeded to move into another colleague, and I said, you know what God told me? And I told him, you can do it. Whether they knew what I was talking about, I don't know. Then I proceeded to go to another colleague, and I stood in the middle of the kitchen, and I blurted it out. I said, you can do it. But he already heard and says, oh, you can do it? He said. So I don't know how it's going to happen. I really don't. But this is something that needs to happen. It has to happen. If there's any justice in this world, it has to happen. Okay? This must happen. I could probably talk about how I got into this situation, but it's all water under the bridge. What I need to do now that it's already taken care of, then I need to take care of it. I need to take care of it so that the goal that I have essentially is I've lived my life already, but the goal is to establish a relationship with my own children. I cannot do that if I'm stumbling around, swimming in just 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 swimming in place. Okay, I have to make some strides and make something out of myself so that I could elevate myself financially so that I can free myself from this situation and create some respectability as mankind has an attachment with respectability with being uh, financially established. So that's the direction I'm going in. I am again truly so thankful that at least I have a job working at a restaurant, being able to pay for the gas that I drive, the car, and be able to maintain the car, be able to buy food and eat, and be able to be here at this office. And I am incredibly grateful for the generosity of those individuals who now, I started in September, so now it's like February, so it's like a year and a half. And then it's February, so 3 more months. It will be exactly 1 year since I've seen my kids or communicated with my kids. So that in itself is in itself is going to be a I truly hope that I truly hope that once I free myself from this situation, that there will come a day. Uh, it will be as a floodgate that's opening. Once I establish myself as a consistent, profitable day trader, that these opportunities will come at me like the floodgate has been opened, and that's the reason why I'm attempting to move into being consistently profitable. Right now, I'm swimming in place, and I just received a what is it called? A documentation issue from Boeing through FAA, which will essentially decimate my account tomorrow because I was so drained, my mind was unable to think properly. It's like being in a delirious state because I was so concentrating. I was so concentrated on today's trades as it the emotional roller coaster was so powerful that my brain was essentially a jello, and logic made no sense whatsoever today. I could have saved myself. I told my trading buddy, I said, I just essentially just gave the money away. And achieving that much, it's just time. Time has by. It's like now it's 2 months into February. I know that when I become consistently profitable, it's like turning on a light. It's switching on a light bulb. And from that point on, once I achieve it, whatever the amount that I have is immaterial because I've established a consistency with a specific process that allows me to make money on a consistent basis. And therefore, once I achieve that state of mind and that state, that clear, distinctive edge, and when I have that edge, I know that it's only a matter of time. So even though it has been 2 months since the start of this year, I am hopeful because God said this to me today while I was mopping. He said to me, "You can do it." It seems a bit. I am very self-conscious right now about saying that, it's a good thing nobody's around to hear it. It's embarrassing at this point, but um, and um, yeah, I'm not sure how that came in, how God read my mind and 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 made that statement so that I could take that with me. And my account tomorrow will be depleted, but I still have a good starting point, and therefore, um, the things that I'm fine tuning is allowing me to essentially develop my edge. So this I just gave it away today. I just gave it away. I didn't have to hold it overnight. I didn't. I could have sold all of it when that rounding effect occurred. That's something I thought to myself. I said to myself, I said, "Oh look, oh oh looky, look." It's like well, it's like when a train is coming my direction and there's a there's a headlight, right? And I'm saying to myself, "Oh, look at the pretty headlights. Oh, look at the pretty headlights," right? Not realizing there's a there's a there's a 200 there's a 500-ton 500-ton locomotive heading in my direction. I'm saying to myself, "Oh, look at the pretty lights." However, God said God said this to me today, and He said, "You can do it."